Okay. Hi, I'm Frederica Edgington Giordano, and for Game Club today, I selected Don't Starve, which also includes the multiplayer version, Don't Starve Together. I started playing this game because, well, Patrick, my husband, and I have been looking for a game to play for a while, play together, and Patrick found this one, and it, appeals to my survivalist streak. Also, my twisted sense of humor.
So I am the eponymous Patrick. I don't think I got that right, but that's okay. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. I do like the game. That's part of the reason why Fred and I have been playing it. And it is a creepy game, but fun. And it's so weird. So weird. Come on. That's it. That's all I got.
So hi, my name is Taro Mia. I thought Don't Starve was a really well-designed game. I loved it. I had a lot of fun dying over and over again in many different unique ways. So I liked it a lot.
I am Anthony and I liked it just fine.
I'm John and I liked it. I own it on like 3 consoles and I've never played it until last month basically.
The woes of the gamer.
It was fun. I liked it.
I'm Robert. I only own it on 2 consoles, Steam and PS4. But I had mixed feelings about it. There were certain things I liked, certain things I did not like at all.
I guess first impressions. What were people's first impressions? You dropped into this world, and you don't really get a lot of feedback. Well, you don't get a lot of tutorial or anything. It's basically you just start. I found that kind of fun because you can kind of explore, and you kind of also if you kind of examine things, you have that option. You can it kind of clues you into possibilities about items and things that you might run across. For the most part, I played I'm most familiar with Don't Starve Together, which is open-ended, doesn't really have like a goal other than, don't starve and generally don't die. So I guess that's kind of, that was what I'm mostly familiar with. I've actually been playing the Don't Starve, single player recently just to see what that's like. And I don't know, it starts out a little differently. You sort of start out with Wilson, the main character, and he's just lying there, and this guy's like, hey, you better get some food, which is a little bit different. But I kind of like just being dropped into the middle of a world that's so strange. So what do you guys think?
It was interesting. One thing, it's kind of funny because like I kind of missed the whole, I guess it's still technically a fad on Steam of like these survival multiplayer things, but like it reminded me, I think this might have been like one of the more popular ones, from a few years ago, and you could definitely see like a lot of influences like from other games, like trying to remember, there's the one with like the gentleman robots or whatever.
Oh, sir, you are being hunted?
Sir, yeah. That like really reminded me
fun.
of that one because it's like another one where you're kind of dropped in the middle of a world and you have to like start improvising really quickly. It's interesting, I guess, because like I think it would have been a different experience if it was like just me on my own, but like I think a lot of us started like with Don't Starve Together, and you and Patrick basically were like telling us like what we need to do.
Sorry. I guess I ruined that aspect.
I do not apologize for that.
No, it's like it's a game. It's like I don't know. It kind of lends itself. I think it worked out fine because I think it was like single player. It would have been a different story. But like when you throw a bunch of people on the server, it's like you have to kind of start doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like other games like I've seen where they kind of gradually build up to everything. Like The Forest is another one where it's kind of I guess Rust, although I've never actually played that much of Rust.
Rust is a different sort of beast.
It's a lot different.
That's pulling it lightly.
Yeah. It's a lot different. But the Forest it's kind of like, I guess, a mixture of that and Rust, where it's another 3D survival crafting game, but it's like another one where you can play it multiplayer and just like jump in, and that one's interesting because there is actually an end game, but it's not like actually specifically told to you. Like I saw this one stream where it's like these two guys playing it, and it took them like 6 hours to get to the ending boss, basically, which was really interesting journey. But like I thought it was interesting that they like made this open-ended version where, you know, like, because it seemed like the single player has like an actual end goal.
I think so, yeah. It does seem that way. Though they don't necessarily tell you right away what it is.
Yeah.
It's something about Maxwell
so
or something.
I was kind of curious that like, you know, I guess I could see like why they would make it like this, but it's also like, you know, like why you would make it open-ended, but I was kind of surprised that like it's open-ended, but then like, you know, it's a game that's very built towards like a certain goal. You know, just like playing it, you know, on my own time. So it's kind of interesting that it's like it's just a world there without like a goal, and it's just like, you know, you have to survive for like no reason besides wanting to play the game more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A couple of things came in mind when I started, you know, when it, you know, the game just drops you and so forth. When you kind of like read reviews or talk to people about what the game's about, and I mean, it's right there in the title as well, a lot of times they'll say like, you know, you'll die a lot, or that the game is really hard, or that, you know, some of the most randomest things will kill you.
Yeah.
And while all that is technically true, it also gives in my opinion, the wrong impression that it's kind of like a game that is hard for hard's sake, or like it's just a kind of game that really doesn't care for the player. But, you know, having played Don't Starve Together, my impression was exactly the opposite of that impression. Sure, I died a lot, but every time I died, I felt like, one, I was getting new information each time I played, and two, as a consequence of that, it encouraged me to constantly be better. And to me, like, so there's this great YouTube video from a channel called, I think, Writing on Games or something like that. But there's a YouTube series called Writing on Games, and one of I believe it's just a journalist making a video blog about his experience on playing games. His video on Dark Souls is the one I'm reminded the most of when I play Don't Starve. Because he talks about how, you know, Dark Souls, another game that has a reputation of, you know, it's hard, get good at that game, so on and so forth. For all that sort of impression that you get of that game, his experience instead was that when he was playing it, he thought the game was designed to be incredibly optimistic, which sounds contrary to the graphics, the storyline, and so on and so forth about the game. And the reason why he thinks that way is largely because the game is designed to like give you clues, to absolutely encourage you to keep getting better at the game. And I mean, that despite the fact that the world that they created clearly doesn't care for the player. So like these really subtle game design elements are telling you like, hey, you can beat this, you can conquer these sort of disasters that you encounter. It's just a matter of preparation, skills, building, and so forth. And it's just, and I don't know, that to me, that experience of I'm getting better at this, I want to be better at this game, I want to be able to conquer this world that I'm dropped in, was probably the most powerful experience I've had. And yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I say I love this game. It's such a shocking, for all its graphics, all of its story, you know, all of the whole horrible things you can do in the game, as well as horrible enemies that you encounter. To me, it is a very optimistic game. It wants you to really beat it, no matter what your skill level is, and I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I agree with you. It does kind of one of the things that kept us playing so much was we'd go along, we'd beat a challenge, we'd get through, we hit winter. Has anyone hit winter yet?
No.
Okay, winter is a real bear. Not literally, but that's summer. Anyway, so we start off in fall, just to give people some background. I'm not going to give too much away. I don't want to like spoilers for everybody.
Just to be clear, so you're living in a world that does have seasons.
Yes, this is a world that has seasons. You start
Also,
off in fall.
To be clear, this podcast is always full of spoilers.
That's
so it
true.
really
That's true.
doesn't
But I don't want to
matter.
spoil it for everyone here. But you do. But with each season has its own challenges, and it is a matter of preparation and knowing what's coming. Because once you know how winter happens and what you need to do about it and what's going to get you, you can start looking for the things in your like crafting menu and checking to see what do I need to not freeze to death. What do I need to look out for? What do I need to listen for? Like the hounds.
Right.
That's a good example that everyone pretty much gets acquainted with very quickly. You know that sound is coming. It does warn you. And you know something bad is happening. It always warns you when something really big like that is going to happen. You get a bit of a warning. You don't know specifically what it is unless you recognize that sound. Each monster has its own like sound effects and sounds associated with it. Like the hounds have their sound, I don't know how you describe it. Kind of. Anyway, the hounds. You recognize the hounds. You recognize the creatures that you get in the winter time. You recognize what you get in the summertime. And they're very distinctive and they're very creative creatures too. So one of them sounds like a goose. Just saying. Goose. And and some things are more dangerous than others. Some things will chase you, some things won't. Some things will chase you if you come too close, and other things,
You have to provoke them.
You have to provoke them, yeah.
We played that game a lot before I started to get just even a little bit bored. I mean, we were able to go through how many game years? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah.
We got to the point where we could reliably survive if we, unless the world generation was really mean to us. But it took a long time to get there, because it got to the point. Fall is hard, but that's just the basic. The game
That's
elements.
the easy season.
That's the easy season. It's not, you get to winter, how the heck do you survive winter? And it really comes down, once you get through a full year, winter is actually not the hardest season.
No. and with each passing season, and you think you're safe because suddenly, okay, now it's no longer winter. It's now going to warm up. Now you don't have to worry about freezing, and then you have to worry about a whole other set of dangers. and you have to watch out for your food supply because there are things in the world that will go after it.
Oh, interesting.
Spoilers. Sorry. But that's part of it. It is optimistic. It does give you a chance to learn, and with each time you die, you do gain more information. So there is that optimism. I like the way you put that.
And geez, the sense of accomplishment once you get past something.
Yeah, I remember the first time we got through winter, we were so proud of ourselves.
What the hell is this? Sorry, what the heck is this? Where's the snow going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we learned why spring sucks. And then we learned, once we got through that,
Which
those
was
that are
not
challenges.
easy. We died a few times in spring.
Oh, quite a few times. Yeah, we died quite a few times in spring. I don't know if we've actually encountered every bad thing that can happen in winter, though. I know we've brushed up against some stuff that didn't go after us directly, but sorry.
Well, I didn't encounter.
Oh, right, you did encounter Krampus, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just saying. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Robert?
Oh.
You
Yes,
had mixed.
Robert's the only one who's had a negative opinion. So.
Well, he has the mixed opinion,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, the
I
same.
do. I have a mixed opinion.
Not to put you on the spot.
No,
Put
that's
you on the
fine.
spot because you must defend this all on your own.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so I started playing the PlayStation 4 version first. I only had the single player and the Reign of Giants expansion on the PS4, completely forgetting that I own the game on Steam with Don't Starve Together. So I started off and plopped into this world, and I have no clue what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
There's no tutorial, there's no quests, there's nothing that tells me this is what you have to do to play the game. So I start wandering around and I'm looking at things. And okay, well, here's some berries. I'll take these berries. Took the berries. Time passed, got to be dusk, got to be nighttime, and I'm at this very safe spot. I'm thinking there's no other monsters around, there's nothing to kill me, I'll just wait out the night, not realizing that I need to have a light source, because if night happens and you don't have a light source, it's like insta-kill. So my first time playing, I died without even surviving the night.
Yeah.
I got a little smarter as I played. Obviously, I started, building campfires. But the entire time I was playing, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I mean, outside of what it says on the tin, there was no purpose for me. There was no end goal. There was nothing for me to aspire towards. I looked up some stuff online, and I learned about the 4 things you need to find in order to get off of the world. So I made that my goal. So now I'm searching for these 4 things on an incredibly huge map. Prior to playing during transmissions with you guys, I didn't know anything about building farms and building crock pots and all these special bases. My style of playing was I was always on the move. I was always trying to find these 4 things that I needed. I wasn't going to run back to a base every night because I wouldn't get very far in the game. So I circled the entire map. I followed the coastline everywhere I could until I had an outline of the map. And then I just started filling things in until I could find my 4 things. And there were a lot of times when I died very unfairly. And when you were saying how you mentioned your reviews were saying that it was a hard game, before you even mentioned Dark Souls, first thing that I thought when you were saying that was, I platinum Demon Souls, and that was a cakewalk compared to this. I mean, I got into the adventure world, and I think I landed on Archipelago, and I'm wandering around trying to find the things that I needed to get onto the next world, and I'm doing pretty good. I've got 3 of the 4, and I end up on an island that is inhabited by practically nothing but wasps.
Oh gosh.
And I did not survive that little trip. I had armies of wasps following me around, and it killed me, and that was the last time I played. I got as far as having unlocked the robot based on simple hours put into the game, but I couldn't go back to it. I tried it online with you guys, and it was a little more fun because now you've got other people to share your misery. But I still didn't have any purpose. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't have any end game. It was mostly wander around, find some berries or carrots to eat, make sure I have a fire lit so that I can pretty much just stand in place for 3 minutes until nighttime is gone, and then look for more berries.
I think those are all.
Have you played any other survival games?
I've played survival horror games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, but nothing like this.
Crafting.
Yeah,
Guess survival crafting. See, I don't know what the genre actually is.
Your experience reminds me a lot of Minecraft, and yes,
Yeah.
I'm going there.
Yeah, I remember saying.
So, fun fact, I'm working on pulling together a lesson plan for Minecraft. Anyways, about that game. I was playing Minecraft and Don't Starve approximately around the same time. And me playing that, it's like, okay, I'm dropped in this world. It's probably like Don't Starve, where I need to figure out, I need to gather a bunch of resources and then figure out how to craft them to turn it into something that I need. And I'm like, all right, cool, I do that. And then I realize something. How do I craft this thing that I was told that you can craft together, like an axe, a pickaxe, that kind of stuff. And I don't figure it out before the zombies kill me during the night. And that was practically the last time I played survival mode of that game. That first time where I'm like, no, screw it. This game is clearly not interested in telling me how to do anything. So that game in particular felt like whatever objectives that game had that people found in it, I did not find compelling. Don't Starve, on the other hand, he was talking about how the night fell. By that time, I actually figured out how to make torches. The only problem was the screen got a little darker because it's now in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh no, I have to make a fire. So I made the one single torchlight I could make at the time, right as it started getting dark, which is a problem because that torchlight did not last up to the night period, and it promptly killed me. But I like that because it now tells me, okay, I made the wrong assumption. Let's try that again. And sure enough, I survived the night just fine and managed to move forward beyond that. I think, personally, I just find those small triumphs, or clues for that matter, where it tells me okay, I died, but I know how to deal with the situation next time. Has been one of the most compelling part of that experience for me, that it really got me to continue playing. That in and of itself I found to be the main driver of that game. That to me, figuring out how to conquer these minute small situations was to me the main interest of that game. You talked about evil wasps, for example. When we're playing it on transmissions, for example, I was dealing with both evil wasps and hounds, and just kind of walking around for a while, being chased by these two things. One thing I noticed is that you can get them to fight against each other, and that turned out to be a significant advantageous strategy. So that was something that I've been bouncing around a lot with, and the fact that you can discover ways to get around these sort of hazards without even so much as throwing a pickaxe at them, I thought was really fascinating. And it's just all those sort of small AI details that I thought was really compelling.
Yeah, it's really fun too to read about how other people have dealt with things, because there are other people I liked going back after I'd figured something out and seeing what the other strategies were. Because some people would come up with these strategies where they'd make, for the hounds, they'd make walls and set up traps. Most of the time, Patrick and I, we would just find something that could fight the hounds for us. And the thing is, you also want to think about strategically, do you really want the hounds? Because we used to do it with the beefalo a lot.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that kills your beefalo.
Right.
It kind of culls your beefalo population over time, which was less than advantageous because, you want your beefalo around most of the time. No spoilers there, but they're I'm not giving any spoilers. But so we'd end up trying to strategically set our camps up near things that were dangerous, like spiders.
Right.
Spiders are a good thing to have the hounds attack because you get resources from the spiders, like the silk and the spider glands and stuff. And it was just fun to figure out what's the most advantageous matchup. And Patrick actually found one during the spring that was really fun, that kind of happened by itself.
Oh, that was just the Weird World generation, yeah.
Yeah. You want to tell them about that?
Obviously with the frog thing.
Yeah.
So one of the worlds we were playing in, the one I think we played the longest, somewhat near us, there was an area with a bunch of ponds, and the frogs during the day, during most seasons, will come out.
Frogs, by the way, are super evil.
Yes.
So frogs will attack you, but if they actually hit you, they will cause you to lose one of your items. So
Oh,
you'll lose a
interesting.
little bit of cut grass or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're obnoxious. And they will chase you a bit as well, and they hop and they're pain.
And the first time I encountered a frog, it was hiding behind a bush. So suddenly I'm like being hurt. I don't know why. I think this was like the first time I was attacked by something in the game. It was like I was standing near this bush. I was passing by, and suddenly I'm dropping my stuff everywhere, and I don't know why. And I think I actually died. That was the first time I died. Yeah, that was.
Anyway, so you have an area with like a good 8 ponds. So a bunch of frogs will come out during the day. Right to the northwest of that is a bunch of beehives. Fortunately, not the killer bee kind, but a bunch of beehives.
Just regular bees, yeah.
During the spring, the bees are just always angry. During other seasons, they're not always angry, but during the spring, they're always angry. So you can actually get them to chase you, and you can get the frogs to chase you, and then the frogs and the bees will aggro each other, and they will fight each other.
And you get lots and lots of frog legs.
You get frog legs, you sometimes get honey, and you get a bunch, like more the stinger
Oh my
things
gosh, so many
that you can
stingers.
use,
We
which
just
is-
left them.
Yeah.
For a while, they were just like stingers as
So
far as
what
I
would
could
happen
see.
is, if one attacked the other, all the frogs would converge on the frog that was being attacked by the bees. And then a bunch of bees would swarm out of the hives to go and attack whatever's attacking the bee. And there would literally be this massive battle. 7, 8
Every
frogs.
spring.
And every day. So frogs and bees just battling it out. And it was evenly matched. So most days you had at least a few frog legs. You could just go there, you wait for them to finish. Then at dusk, the frogs start wandering away, the bees start wandering away. So you grab the frog legs and any honey, and you're done. And that's all the food you needed.
Pro tip, everyone. Did you write that down?
So yes, pro tip: if you can find a bunch of bees, there are a bunch of
Frogs.
ponds.
Ponds, yeah.
That's going to be great in the spring. If there are more bees than frogs, that also works because you still get frog legs. It's
Can you use a pitchfork to move those ponds or no?
No,
No. I don't think so.
you can't use the pitchfork to move the ponds. I think there's a little bit of grass that will grow around them that you can't use for anything,
Mm-hmm.
but will burn. You might be able to use a pitchfork for that.
Ah, interesting. Anyway, sorry.
No apologize. That was pretty much it. But it's the kind of like the world is going to exist and evolve without you. It's really like something I took away from it, and that's one of the things. Like
Oh, yeah.
it'll constantly stay in stasis unless the beehives are destroyed or burned down or something, which is possible if a large creature happens to go through the area, especially one that might like honey.
Just saying.
I'm really impressed from any game when they have so many content such that, despite living in the age of the internet, you feel like you're still learning something new about that game. And Don't Starve strikes me as that one game where I'm like, I want to know how other people have played it. I want to know what kind of strategies are out there. I want to know what kind of hazards there are and so forth. Because so far, the kind of enemies I've encountered were, dragons, these single-eyed bird thingies
Oh,
that
the
I
birds.
can't really quite understand. There were some antelopes, or deers or whatever, I have no idea. Beefaloes, evil frogs, so evil.
Yes.
Hounds everyone has encountered, bees everyone has encountered at some point. Bats, holy crud, are they the most evil thing ever. There are some rabbits. There was jackalopes, really. There was one more that really stood out. I can't quite remember.
Oh,
Spiders, obviously.
spiders, yeah. The spiders.
And I don't feel like I've seen all of it yet.
Oh.
I'm still impressed by the number of enemies that game throws at you, and you're I feel like you're constantly surprised.
Yeah.
So, anytime that you have that sort of conversation with anyone in person, being like, yeah, I have this strategy, or like, oh yeah, there's this sort of encounter, and you're like, what, really? Like, that's really awesome. I'm really, like, I'm really impressed that this game can pull that sort of experience off.
Yeah.
Has anyone else ever encountered like a particularly wacky situation or something that you happen to remember fondly or otherwise?
So I have my bee frog story. No, I'll give other people a chance.
Anybody else?
Because I have more stories.
Anything blindside you? Like my frog story?
Remember the time, Anne, when I accidentally burned through the forest you were trying to create?
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
Don't, you know what? Don't feel sorry. That's just something that happens in this game for some reason.
Okay, just because I play Willow.
I honestly did not expect that. I thought, okay, maybe we can prune these tree stumps, and then I accidentally burnt the entire forest. And so importantly put together. Oh right, that evil willow tree. Willow trees kills you in this game. I don't understand it.
So
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
if you chop, and it's a birch tree, it's not a willow tree. It just looks like a willow tree when it's evil.
Yeah.
They do turn evil. Every time you chop one down, it may get angry. One nearby may get angry and attack you. And it will stay angry for a while. Very useful for hounds. Pine trees have a similar mechanism, which we have
But
not
it's
seen
different.
yet. Similar but different if
Yeah.
you cut them down. Pro tip, if you plant the appropriate seed, there's a chance that it'll make the tree happy.
Just so you know. In case you find yourself unable to escape a tree.
I forgot about the wet tentacle too. That was evil.
Oh yeah, the tentacles, yeah. Yeah, that's... But you pick up on where they are. It's just a matter of being able to see the bubbling under the surface.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but anybody else get any other? I know you, John, died quite a few different ways.
I would say the one thing that caught me off guard was when I accidentally deleted everyone else's accounts.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know if that counts in the meta or not. But.
That's sort of meta game, but yeah.
Well, I'll say like dying a lot took me by surprise because like a lot of the time I come into these games expecting to die a ton. I didn't realize it would like penalize me every time I did.
Yeah.
Because like I lost a lot of like my max health, which I don't like. How in like the standalone game do you just like lose your whole world? Or
It depends. Let me see. I'm trying to remember because I have died. Oh, you. It depends though. Actually, if there is a way to come back, and I'm trying to remember.
Oh, well, if you use the touchstone.
Yeah, if you use the touchstone. I'm trying to remember if I was penalized for dying when they use the touchstone. Do you remember?
All your items drop on the ground wherever you died.
Well, yeah.
And you have to go
yeah.
back and get them.
That's it.
But
right?
that's the only one I've noticed.
Okay, you don't get like your stats don't decrease. Yeah.
If they did, I didn't notice it.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty noticeable. So, I think I think they do it in the Don't Starve Together version. They penalize you. I'm not sure why that
It's
is.
a little easier to come back as well.
Oh, that's true.
Because you can craft something to bring back out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Which will also reduce the max health of the person who creates that item. Just a little bit, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of weird. I guess it was like interesting because like, I was like pretty reckless with a lot of things because I figured I was gonna come back and then just keep doing what I was doing, and then it got harder to stay alive. So that kind of was, it was an interesting mechanic, but like it was not a playstyle I was used to, which is why it took a while for me to stop dying because it was like. I play too much Binding of Isaac where it's like, because I play a lot of roguelikes where it's designed so like every time you die, you've made progress in a certain aspect. But in this game, it's like you make progress, you usually start like close to the beginning or back. I don't know. I wasn't a fan like if we died like really far away from the spawn, like we would have to track back, I don't know.
Yeah.
To be fair, I do think when you're playing in this mode, which was what we mostly did in the transmissions, it does make sense to me that they put in some sort of penalty to it. I kind of am also in agreement with you, though, that the trek back was probably not the fun part of it. My understanding is that you can actually haunt actual players to make their lives more miserable. So that was the only intent behind that feature, but like in Endless Mode, it just felt very pointless because you really don't want to do that in Endless Mode.
Yeah.
It's very weird. I don't know. It kind of felt like a bit of an afterthought of like how to manage those systems because like you know the mechanics of being a ghost like does. I mean, it's like you said. It's like it's kind of detrimental to like you know everyone's survival. But then it's like what if you come back or someone resurrects you, then like you have to deal with like you know whatever you know mischief you just did, basically. Which seems I don't know like it's like at odds with. You know, just the design, and I feel like there should have been like an easier way to, you know, if you're like all the way, like you know, like there's some points where we died like really far away from base, and like, you know, we had to trek all the way back at like you know base speed. I wasn't a fan of that. Like I know there's other ways you can like resurrect people, but it didn't seem like it was that easy to do it.
It's made worse in the normal game mode. If you die and become a ghost, you're constantly decreasing the sanity of remaining living players. And I think in that mode, the only way to come back is to have somebody resurrect you. So then it becomes a race against time. They also have to find you.
Oh,
I mean, you can move around, so you can try to go meet up with them, but
the entire time they're getting less and less sanity too. So
yeah.
so that's kind of
I don't know if that helps or actually furthers your argument that this may not have been the best part of the game.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the game, there's a certain point where like if you just fail too many times, then it's just not worth continuing to save. Because there's like the first time I played, like there was a point where you know my health was like I would get hit once by everything, and then my sanity was taking forever to like come back up. So it didn't feel like you know there was that much purpose to just still playing that one save. And then there's you know Anthony when he was playing had the meat character, which
oh yeah, that character's really hard to play.
I don't know. I don't think we were playing correctly. We weren't really playing together. We all went in all opposite directions and just used up all the resources haphazardly and didn't really have a strategy for it.
it's not a game like I've seen other games do it better when you're playing like multiplayer. Like The Forest, for instance, you know, that's a game where you can be like a single person, you know, fighting against like a horde of monsters, but they make it hard enough to build a base that like if you have multiple people, like it doesn't make sense for, you know, the two people, like if there's 3 or 4 people playing, like it doesn't make sense for one person to run off and make their own base, because you know it takes like about an hour to like actually build an efficient base. And this one it kind of felt like, you know, like people would just run off and then we couldn't like track them down at all.
Wait, why are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
We're attempted heal people over here, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, I guess, because like, you know, it's not a game that like replenishes its resources, and it's, you know, it really felt like, you know, they just added like multiplayer functionality and then didn't really balance the game. Like I would have to like play both versions a little bit more to properly get it, but I really feel like the balance was.
I don't think we were playing it correctly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it is Don't Starve.
In some ways, I think the thing is part of the reason you want to fan out a little bit, though, honestly.
Not like for the whole game.
Not
though.
for this or
maybe
for the
in the
whole game.
beginning.
In the beginning, yeah, you want to find as many different terrains as possible, and you
Yeah.
want to find the beefalo so you can make the farms.
Right.
When we were first starting out, that was our whole thing. We'd be like, oh, we have to find beefalo because we have to make a farm and everything, especially when we discovered winter.
Yes.
we would just spread out and take a look, and it's actually kind of funny when Patrick and I would play. I would end up taking care of the.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. We ended up really falling into
gender.
gender roles, which was really funny. But I would stay at home. Patrick would go off on his own. It was so.
Whether she wanted me to or not.
Yeah. And we wanted to switch off. I mean.
But your character, so there were
My
reasons
character
this
needs
happened.
fire. Yeah, I would often play as Willow. Willow's comes with a little light source, so she does have that benefit. So in the beginning, you can just
That
pull out the
lighter
lighter.
lasts forever, doesn't it?
It lasts for a while, yeah. It's
Although in the single player mode, it doesn't drain at all. It's infinite.
oh nice.
What?
Okay,
Yeah.
Ooh.
I haven't played as her yet in the single player mode. I've got to play as her, but I like playing as Willow. Willow she can eat most things, and and yeah, I tried playing as Wigfrid there,
I tried
but
playing this one.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, did we go through it?
At some point, I did. I definitely did, and I starved pretty quickly. Yeah, but I like playing as Willow. She does need a fire generally. Her sanity will drop if she's cold, and she's actually her sanity will generally go up at night because you're standing near a fire. The best thing is when you have when it's kind of warm, but it's not quite. When you've got like an endothermic and a regular fire going, and she's standing in between, and it's like her sanity just shoots right up. It's awesome. But there is sort of it was kind of funny though. Patrick and I ended up. I would stay at home and I would tend the farms. Yeah.
Farms. Sometimes
You would go to deal with their you would go after the traps and do all that circuit and everything,
Yes.
and go exploring without me.
Now, it sounded like we kind of planned this. We didn't. I would just go out and do it and say,
Yeah.
have a good day. I'll be
Pretty
back
much.
tonight.
So that's why you just like to make your own camps whenever we're playing.
Yeah, so there are times when you may need to abandon your camp.
Yes.
We would have
A backup base.
We'd have a backup base. We would also have a few other places that were like primitive. I would call primitive campsites. So it's pretty much a campfire, and that would be because of my independent roving during the winter, when
And
we really had to stay at home.
And when you do have a fire, what is it called when it's the more permanent fire?
Fire pit.
Yeah, fire pit.
Yeah.
The fire pit. When you have the fire pits, you can throw anything in there and start a fire. You don't have to have all the equipment. So if you have to run to something really quickly, it's nice to have them set up in various locations. So that's part of our what we found actually. It's good to have lots of camps, lots of places to run to in case
In case you just want to go somewhere else for the night.
in case there's a big scary mean man coming. Sorry, that's literally like the spoiler. Yeah, spoilers.
I've had the fun encounters of just burning beehives and just trying to steal eggs from the birds and so on and so forth. Just like seeing what happens if I provoke nature because I don't care.
There are so many ways to provoke nature too. Things that are like totally docile. The minute you attack one of them, you're gonna end up with the entire. Like if you attack a beefalo, they will go after you. It will be
fun.
ugly. You will die.
And quickly.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the balancing for it is kind of tricky, and yeah, spreading out has some advantages and disadvantages. For the first part, you definitely want to spread out and get as much of a lay of the land as possible, and doing that by yourself would be kind of tricky with the single player mode. I've been doing the single player version for a while in preparation for this. For Game Club, and yeah, I found it it is a little bit of a slog to walk all the way around and trace out the land all by yourself. Though, so, and then part of the problem is you don't have, if somebody goes somewhere, you don't know where they're going either. It would be nice to be able to see where people are on the map for Don't Starve Together. And that's something that's really kind of lost.
I think in recent version they updated it so you can craft something to allow that.
Okay.
I think, I'm not sure.
That's
We
possible.
haven't played it, but that.
Yeah.
I have noticed that at least with Don't Starve Together, if you like create some sort of fence or whatever, it will actually show up on the map.
Yeah, certain things will show up, like certain landmarks. If you leave, I think Chester shows up, like the little walking pumpkin chest. That'll
Doggy chest.
what?
Doggy chest.
Doggy chest, doggy pumpkin chest.
It's a walking gasping chest.
Yes. But yeah, I guess it is tricky to kind of coordinate in the game, even if we can chat.
I don't know if it's that tricky.
Well,
Especially if we're all in the same room.
yeah, that's true.
This is tricky to coordinate.
It's also tricky to convince people, no,
Right.
you should totally stay at the camp and not wander off into random locations.
I'm not wandering
End
off.
up getting
I was-
killed by Krampus or whatever.
Okay, you're talking about our games, but in the games we were playing with TVGS, I was deliberately going off. I was going to harass you and as much as I could in a game that doesn't allow PvP with the setting off. But no, you guys found my camp after I told you where to find it.
By harassing, you mean you're going to leave us important resources at our camp, right? Just like
Yes.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's kind of you ended up being, like this, letting people come into your camp.
You had an impressive beard by the time we encountered you.
Yes, I had full-on hill people beard.
Yeah.
That beard.
Mm.
Robert, if you don't mind me asking, when you're searching for any, all these four artifacts, were there any sort of encounters that you recall or anything that kind of stood out to you?
I wouldn't necessarily say it related to searching for the four things, but during one of my playthroughs, my sanity went down a lot. And
Yeah, the Sanity in particular I found was very hard to cover.
And I'd learned as sanity goes down, weird things start to happen. Things on your screen will shake, the little shadow puppets will come out, and relatively harmless. Until I got my sanity down so far that the shadow creatures were attacking me. That I did not expect. That was my moment of what the heck just happened.
That's a special moment, isn't it?
Yes. So I had this giant beetle-looking shadow creature constantly chasing me around, and I'm just running around trying to get away from him as much as I can. I'm playing Willow, so I decide.
Oh, you could have dropped the bear.
What?
Willow has the bear. If you drop the bear, Bernie will attract them.
She doesn't have it in the single.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know what that thing was when I played it together, but I knew I didn't have it in the single.
Okay.
So instead, what I did was I just ran into the forest and started lighting every tree on fire that I could see. And it didn't help as much. I still got killed by this shadow creature.
Oh.
But that was definitely my what the heck moment.
That's cool. It's kind of strange to me that, like, from a story perspective, every character seems to have hallucinations of pretty much the same measure. But it is interesting how the different things trigger their recovery, or vice versa. Whatever kind of triggers them to suddenly have their sanity drop really quickly.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting, so I do find a lot of interest in the mechanics of how the games are designed in regards to what kind of resources are they balancing out with. And with Don't Starve, there are a couple of meters, the hunger meter of course. It does not have a thirst meter, thank goodness, but it does have a wet meter that causes you to get colder. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It does have a heat meter that I believe is invisible, but you realize that you're getting too hot or something, which starts causing a lot of health problems. I forgot to mention the health meter. There's obviously the sanity meter, and then if you happen to be playing a particularly special character, you have the log meter, which is interesting as well. Which is at least when you're starting the game, generally speaking with most characters, you're dealing with 3 different meters, which is, I find it interesting. Health meter is fairly typical, hunger meter is fairly typical, but then you have the sanity meter, and at first you're like, what does this mean? and you just kind of do whatever the heck you want to do, and then eventually, like, this meter just goes down really quickly, and you're not really sure how to recover it. I find that decision a little peculiar in the sense that some, it would have been more nice if some things were explained a little bit better as to how to recover that sanity meter. But when you do, like, cover that ground, it's interesting how difficult it is to recover that meter.
Yeah.
But it's also, ironically, at the same time, the meter that, drops the least.
Mhm.
So it's like it's like the weird thing where you just kind of have to maintain over time. And I think that was like a very deliberate design decision in the sense that, at least in my experience, the HP meter was the one thing that I really didn't have to care too much about.
Mhm.
And the hunger meter was something that after a certain point you get a pretty good pace on. So to kind of make that mix up that they added in the third meter, I thought was really a fascinating decision.
Mhm.
Were there like any other random decisions that any of you found that was really weird or fascinating? I think the science machine is actually a really strange one too.
Oh yeah. And the alchemy machine too.
Science machines, I mean, it's weird because it's kind of like a very rudimentary, like, leveling system, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like, it's basically designed so, like, you don't, like, just can do anything from the start. Which, I mean, games like Minecraft, like, there's a hierarchy of things you have to do. But, like, for the most part, like, once you have a crafting box in Minecraft, like, you can make anything you want to if you find the materials. And this kind of seems like the same way, but, like, with the science machine, it kind of puts a cap on, like, what you have access to immediately, which I did like that. Once you prototype something around it, like, you don't have to go back to it, which that would have been the most annoying thing ever.
You can't pick up and move it, can you?
No.
Okay.
You can, however, prototype something, then leave it in your inventory while you walk around, so that you can build it elsewhere. So you can, in fact, with the science machine, build a lot of structures and whatnot well past the range of where you can start prototyping anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
That is sometimes useful. Most of the time, it's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I do find it a little bit cumbersome when you're like, oh, I want to be able to figure out how to cut stone, so now I have to, or I'm probably going to need to cut stone at some point. So now I have stone, I may as well prototype it. I don't need it now, but I'm going to at some point. I don't want to have to come back here to do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little wonky that way. So I get that, but yeah. And of course, if you are playing multiplayer and trying to pull resources, that can be a little frustrating because somebody will build something and prototype it and know how to do it, and then you're walking away and you're like, hey, you need to build this, and wait, I'm like I didn't build it that last time, you built it. So that can be a little bit frustrating.
Did somebody made it into the caves the second game we played, right?
Did somebody make it into the caves?
No, I don't think so.
No, we opened up the caves. We did not actually go in.
Oh, the caves are fun.
Hmm.
Just going back to Taro's question for like half an hour ago, a memorable death.
Oh.
The bunny men.
Oh, the bunny men. Okay, so the bunny men are in. I don't know if they're always in the caves, but are only in the caves.
I haven't seen them above the ground. I think they're
Okay,
only in the caves.
they're in the caves.
It's
I
just
would.
like a village, like a pig village. If you found one of the villages, not just scattered houses.
Yeah.
And it's, that's not so bad. There's plants growing with food.
It's very
we'll go
similar
in.
to the pig village. So you're
Has
thinking,
it-
oh, it's pig village, underground.
It's not like the pig village. And they killed me for reasons I will not state here because I want you guys to find out. They will not always kill you.
Yes.
They'll only
yes.
sometimes kill you. But it took me by
But you have
surprise.
to-
Because we
Yeah.
were exploring underground together.
Yeah.
And I went ahead into this village and Fred was kind of catching up. And I was then killed. I was telling Fred, no, don't come, run away, run away.
Who would have thought?
The bunnies, the bunny men, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were all Donnie Darkos.
Well, yeah. The thing is, under certain circumstances, some animals become dangerous. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
That
And I didn't understand when they all came out of their houses what was going on. I was like, oh, they're all coming out to say hello. That's weird. Like the game, there's a lot of detail and polish with this game. So they came out and then they started saying something, which I won't repeat because I really want you guys to find it and have what happened to me happen to you.
Because you're twisted that way.
But they came out. It's like, oh, hi. Oh, God. Oh, God, no. But at that point, there's too many of them because they all come out and they surround you. It's like, oh,
Yeah, let's just say you don't want to be carrying the wrong stuff when you go into the Bunny Man village. What?
Don't do that. We're not actually playing with them right now. There's no reason to help them.
Maybe we might play with them again, right?
We will help them then for immediate needs.
Yeah, it can be very disconcerting because sometimes you'll be going along and suddenly the beefalo will attack you. And they'll be docile until suddenly they're not docile anymore. Or you accidentally attack something, like the penguin. Pengulls, yeah. Don't accidentally attack the pengulls.
Oh yeah, Brian has warned us. The penguins will kill you.
Yes. If you leave them alone, you can actually literally shove them around. But if you hurt one of them, it's done. It's over.
But going back to your comparison of Dark Souls, once things killed me, I knew exactly why. Like I know exactly why the Bunny Man killed me. I know exactly why everything has killed me. And you get to pick up on patterns of behavior watching them over time.
Yeah.
Which I think was a neat touch.
Yeah.
Because everything's a little different. And in surprising ways sometimes.
Yeah. And it does evolve through time, through different seasons, and yeah.
There were moments in the game that I thought was really interesting because the game is like a procedurally generated game, and yet they tried to sneak in like a little bit of lore building that you can start asking questions on about. Like, so I was wondering if anyone kind of caught on any of those clues and what kind of story that they came up with when they encountered them. As an example, there's a couple of skeletons that you can find, and with it, a couple of tools just dropped right there. Like that to me is really fascinating. But yeah, there's like a couple of other instances where, in a way, the world felt less treacherous. And like it was trying to convince you there was a history behind it that I thought was a really fascinating aesthetic decision. Even though ultimately, as far as I can tell, they had no effect on the game.
I don't know, it was kind of fun when you could find a character that had died, and sometimes there was like almost a theme. Like when we were playing Sin Social Night, I came across somebody who had a beekeeping hat and a bunch of bee-related items, and like plans to how to make a bee box. So I didn't need the science machine to do that, which is something we hadn't run across before when we were playing Don't Starve Together. Maybe it's a recent update, but there's almost like this character that you ran across that you're basically looting their body. They were a beekeeper, apparently. Right. I thought that's kind of a nice touch, yeah. And you'll come across like little items, like stuff that's kind of used, like the boomerang that's like 20% left or something like that.
I did find it interesting also that there's a lot of places where there are a bunch of statues, and like that again kind of adds to the world of. There was a civilization previously here, although I think the intent behind all of that to me was more about the fact that this portal has appeared rather often and other people had to survive in this location as well, and we're simply just not as lucky.
Yeah, it does give it, I don't know, it gives the appearance of like depth and the history that there's these statues, and you'll come across buildings sometimes, and I mean not a lot, there's no actual like you can go inside of the buildings, but which there were times when I would have liked that.
I would have loved to have been able to build a log house or something like that. Oh God, that I think would be an amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the game why you have everything open up and there's no ceiling or anything, but sometimes it feels like it would be kind of nice. Just have a roof over your head.
Any other encounters? On a completely random note, meteors fall in this game.
Yes.
Holy crap, why?
It's got to replenish the rocks. That's how they replenish rocks.
Oh, I see.
It's not the only way. I mean, some rocks will just reappear in rocky areas, but like the meteorites are a big component of that in certain biomes of the world. I like that. Biome is not technically the right order, but you get the idea. Yeah, I remember.
It does
coming
warn
across
you,
that.
though. That's the thing. When you got those kind of burnt, weird-looking spaces, places, spots on the ground, and that's where there's meteor showers, and you can hear them coming essentially, so to run. So like you mentioned before, there's some information.
How about like the graphics and the sound effects, especially the dialogue, like the way it talks? Like,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
I like the fact that all the different characters have different ways of reacting to things. Like
Yeah.
my character's like always about fire. Like I hope that person went out in a blaze of glory and everything's fire related with her. Or I wish it was still burning, and I don't know, I find Wilson a little boring. I'm playing as him.
I'm sorry, what? He's the guy who goes, take that nature, and found him boring.
Yeah, Wigford's
Well,
kind of
fireball.
fun. Wigford's kind of fun. I the way she's sort of like this really enthusiastic Viking.
Yeah, how was it like to play that robot, John?
Yeah.
Robot wasn't like that different. Like I kind of expected like he would only eat like rocks or something, but he just eats. He just plays like a normal player, from my understanding. The spider person was also kind of the same.
Oh.
It's kind of weird because like you would think those two characters would be like drastically different from everyone else,
Yeah.
but there's like only the meat eating one, which seemed to like actually affect people's play styles.
Oh no,
Yeah.
the log one also heavily affects your
That's
play
true.
style.
Yeah.
Well, from what I was reading, the robot can eat the gears and permanently increase all their stats.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a thing, but that's like that's not like everyday, or I mean that's like not that common from like the beaver character, like you would switch like to a werebeaver like just through normal gameplay, which like I think would have been interesting to like do something like that with the robot where it's like he only eats rocks or wood or something to keep like a furnace going, something like that. But it was, and then the spider one, I don't know, it's just there.
Yeah.
For like a game that, to be fair, I do have Flux installed on my computer, so that might be the reason. It's for a game that mostly is, brown and gray. At least that's been mostly my experience with it. It's distinct. It has a pretty clear characterization in regards to its art style that's really endearing, while at the same time conveys its hostility that I really find interesting.
Yeah.
At least playing with different sort of characters. I did enjoy playing both as Wilson, Willow. There was, I think, it's not Abigail, what was her name? The one with the twin sister.
Wendy.
Wendy.
They
yeah.
all start with W. Yeah.
Yeah. The librarian one was actually really awesome to play as.
Oh, really?
Although her sanity was very quickly and easily dropping throughout my entire gameplay. Yeah, it turns out that Books has magical powers in this universe.
Oh, okay. I gotta play as her then. Gotta try that out. Yeah, mostly I play as Willow, and I don't know. It affects my gameplay because I just whenever I'm feeling down, I just burn things.
Here, so try and talk about the game. Not the
So,
way.
as an example, when we were playing, one of the books, I think it's like the Orchard or something, allows you to create this book that by reading it causes every plant to regrow
yeah.
themselves. And so that's why I was like, all right, so are we going to winter right now? All right, we should probably use this item then. Everyone start collecting things. And that was like genuinely, the fact that character really forces you to start strategizing on your, well, I mean, it gives you like a trump card in a lot of, strategization for collecting items and so forth. So I thought that was like a very fascinating character to play as. But again, she is the character that loses sanity the fastest, and thus is a lot harder to maintain.
Yeah, it does seem like they do need to balance them a little bit more in some cases, or maybe make the robot and the spider a little more interesting.
To be fair, like with playing these different characters, you want to make sure that you're also experiencing different sort of play style as well. So I can understand that some characters may feel less balanced than the others. The question simply being like, it is a procedurally generated game, so do they feel fair enough in the universe that they're throwing in? Except for the mime. Everyone just doesn't like the mime.
I've not even considered playing as a mime.
The mime's description itself says has a hard time staying alive. And the reason why is because, it's a mime, so it doesn't tell you when the hounds are coming.
Oh my goodness, that's bad.
No, the mime is literally designed to be hard mode.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's Wilson without the beard, and letting you know that the hounds are coming.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I had not even considered that.
It's the second to in the original first one-play game. I believe it's the second to last character that you unlock before you unlock Maxwell. Spoilers. But yeah, that mime is just meant to be hard mode, and that's otherwise there's no other purpose.
Interesting.
Ant, what was your favorite character?
Oh yeah.
I don't have one.
Was there like any sort of quotes from other characters that really stood out to anyone? For some reason, Wilson stands out to me the most. Just his sort of take that nature tryout to me is I think endearing.
Yeah, he's.
There's a reason he was my favorite. Not just because he followed the easiest to play with.
Yeah.
He was just fun. And he had a great beard.
Yeah. Mostly we play as Wilson and Willow.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that the lumber person has a name for his axe, calling it Lucy all the time.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
always really bizarre.
Oh yeah, that axe is interesting.
Right. It doesn't wear out, right?
No,
Lucy,
I don't think that axe wears out. It's but nobody else can pick it up. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and I think
It
it
made it very difficult when Anthony died and I tried to retrieve his stuff, but I couldn't pick it up.
yeah. Yeah, your stuff like talking back.
I don't even think Lucy will allow you to pick her up.
No.
Freaking Lucy.
What was this is the one thing I couldn't figure out. So Wendy was the one that was haunted by her twin sister, right?
Yeah.
I could not for the life of me figure out how to actually summon her twin sister. Because
Oh.
I'm informed that you can actually do that.
Yeah, I think I played as her once, but not for very long. I think. Oh yeah, I was playing as her, and you were playing as Wigfrid. And we
Yeah,
didn't play.
that
That
game
game
did
didn't
not
last
last
very long. But I do remember I was able to.
Because that flower does something, and it's in her
Yeah.
inventory for whatever reason.
Do you want me
Yeah.
to tell you? Because I'm looking at the Wikia page. Right?
Oh yeah, let's find out.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I
Wendy
think
starts with the wilted Abigail's flower, which blooms in roughly 2 to 4 days, at which point she will be able to summon Abigail. When Abigail's flower has bloomed,
It can be placed on the ground to prepare the summoning. The summoning requires the death of a mob near the flower. This includes Wendy herself, but excludes any captured mobs murdered through the inventory. So no rabbits that you caught in a trap, is what I was trying to say. Abigail follows Wendy and will attack mobs that either attack Wendy or that Wendy herself attacks. Abigail cannot hurt Wendy and normally doesn't attack any allies such as Chester unless Wendy herself attacks them first. Abigail will always move away from Wendy when she comes too close.
So you have to perform a ritual.
Pretty much.
Good to know.
It's like a sacrifice. Oh, just out of curiosity, has anyone tried looting any of the graves?
There's graves.
There are
Oh
graves.
yeah, you're right. There are graves. Why haven't I thought of this?
I think that's how I lost all my sanity. I was looting all the graves I came across looking for some good stuff, and suddenly my sanity's gone.
Oh.
Really?
What?
You're surprised by this?
You gotta
Where
be
else are you
careful.
gonna find all the good stuff?
There's some good stuff in there. But you have to watch out, because, yeah.
Do ghosts happen?
Yeah. Ghosts happen.
All right, cool. That's good.
Not
to know.
every time, but yeah. And you have to fight. You can fight them.
I didn't encounter any ghosts, just shadow creatures.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me that when you're a ghost, at least in terms of world building and like making layers of the world, that when you're a ghost you see the shadow creatures. It's like they're really there, and you're like, when you lose your sanity you're like closer to it. It's kind of Lovecraftian in that
Oh,
regard.
interesting. One very strange encounters I've had is like a couple of tumbleweeds where they themselves contained blueprints,
Oh,
rubber for some reason, and so
yeah, the
forth.
rubber stop. I don't know what that does, but I have run across the rubber stopper.
Right, so it's
Drain.
I mean, it's like
Plug.
in the middle of the desert, so I'm like, why the heck is that happening? And that's when there was a bunch of hounds nearby. So presumably the story being that they caught all the inventories that's been lost by the travelers who've been hounded, for the lack of a better word, for the lack of
Hounded.
better puns.
That's a good one.
But yeah, like it's kind of those really, at least to me, seemingly random details I find really interesting as well. Was there like any sort of weird encounters others has encountered as well, where they found something that they did not expect?
The
Sorry.
pig king.
The pig.
It's like
I remember your
almost-
reaction to it.
It's like it took me kind of off guard. 'Cause it's like, I don't know. The pig people seem like quote unquote like the most normal. You know, I mean, it's like you understand like what their society is like, and then they have this pig king surrounded by like ancient
Monoliths.
blobby monoliths, and it's like what?
With the spirits going, or whatever's
Yeah.
going into them. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Full moons. What,
Oh, yeah.
what? Any weirdness during full moons? Has anyone experienced that?
I don't
No,
know,
but-
experienced the full moon.
Oh, okay.
Full moons are actually really nice because they don't require you to pull up a camp light. The nightmare creatures will not attack you during full moons.
Oh, nice.
But on the other hand, I haven't had any encounters of, the blood moon type. So
Oh.
that
There
is a
is.
Zelda reference. Anyway, so
There's no blood moon and Don't Starve.
yes,
You gotta watch out for.
There is?
what?
there is not.
No.
I'm aware of.
No. No. You get enough night stuff, but you do have to watch out for the pigs during full moons.
Oh, interesting. I was informed of were-pigs.
I think I mentioned that. Were-pigs, and if you notice, have you guys come across the heads on sticks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
or twice.
Yeah, if you see those on a full moon, the eyes will open and they will glow. And if you knock down, now normally if you knock them down, you'll get like pig skin or something if it's a pig head, or whatever you get with merman. If it's
Of
a
course,
merman
you'll
head.
know what happens when you knock these things down.
Well,
during
you guys,
full moon.
you get hammers are awesome. That's one of the fun things about this is you get a new tool and you just see what you can apply it to. you can actually get nightmare fuel. And what I like about this game is some of the logic there. You're like, yes, if the eyes are open and glowing in the moonlight from these dead animals, yes, it is nightmare fuel. It does somehow make some kind of twisted logic. And the way you die, it does also kind of make a kind of a twisted logic. There's a logic there that you're like, sometimes you have to actually encounter it, but it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right. I mean, yeah, the game obviously has this like convoluted logic, but there's it definitely feels like a universe where there are rules that feels consistent, that feels predictable enough to a point where you can guess what would happen if you just really thought about it. So yeah, I do find that I find that design decision like clever. It's not an easy thing to do, and I'm really impressed by it.
Yeah. You also get a lot of logic and like the recipes. Like we just started with the crock pot, and obviously this is kind of counterintuitive, but you can do things like make kebabs if you put sticks in the
Ingredients.
as one of the ingredients in the crock pot. But you can also freeze things somehow if you put ice in there. It's not, the logic can be a little funky, but I really like melonsicles. Highly recommend making them if you have a chance. Especially if you're worried about sanity. It's one of the biggest sanity boosts I've ever come across.
There was a mention of Globber when we were playing.
Oh, Glommer. Glommer, yes. Full moon creature. Yeah. You've got to find Glommer's statue, and during a full moon, Glommer's flower appears, and you pick the flower and you get Glommer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Glommer is this, like, at least from my perspective, random creature that's there to increase your sanity. Is it like, is that just something it's designed to do specifically? I'm really interested in what the designer's decision for pulling that in was.
Yeah. Well, actually, Glommer has a few different aspects to him. He's there. He will update you. He will increase your sanity if you're close to him. But there's also Glamorous Goop, which is Glamorous pink, bubblegum pink poop, basically. If you eat it, it is a way to control your sanity drop if you want to. Sometimes you might want to have low sanity for some purpose, like if you want to fight the shadow creatures or something like that. You can do that, and if you eat his poop, it will drop your sanity. Just so you know, I'm pretty sure nobody wants to do that, but
Is that actually chewing gum?
No, it doesn't seem to. It is pink like chewing gum.
Yeah.
It also burns pretty well too.
It burns really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of items that burn really well, although most of them are like, for example, saplings, where if you destroy them, it's permanently gone.
Yeah.
And so if anyone hasn't encountered this, you can actually replant saplings all around and kind of have so that you can bring them closer to your own base, let's say, and make it so that gathering twigs is a lot easier and more efficient.
You can also do that with berry bushes.
Yes. I figured that out too.
Okay.
I've done that with actually juicy fruit bushes as well. It took me a while to figure out that I can use
The shovel.
both, not just the shovel, both the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, any rot,
Oh, right. Yeah.
as well as any beefalo dung, to be able to use as fertilizer to be able to grow those, because the berry bushes are one thing that I actually agree with the game design. A two-step process in making sure that they actually grow. You need to fertilize them at some point. The cut grass on the other hand, though, felt a little inconsistent because those are readily available, similar to the saplings, and yet they also require fertilizer, which I'm not entirely certain I agree with that design decision.
Okay.
They absolutely require fertilizer to grow, or just to grow faster?
It's to grow if you replant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it a one-time thing, or do you need to fertilize it every time
No,
you
it's
want
one
to
time
harvest
thing.
it?
It's a
Okay.
one. Well, in the
Fertilizing the
summer.
fields?
What about the summer? Oh, not fields, it's grass. In the summer,
You might need to.
you might need to do it in the summer.
Oh.
Try to remember. It's been a while since we played summer. Don't starve together.
There was one time where I made a bucket of poo thinking that would give me more poo. I was kind of right, but I never figured it, or it took me a very long time to figure it out until at some point oh wait, I can actually use this item on, farms and grass and whatnot, and it will have a fuel of 10 poo when the cost of actually making it is like only 3 or 4. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, but on the other hand, it didn't help me build more farms, so I'm a little screwed there.
Yeah.
Going back to what Tara was saying about the tumbleweeds,
Oh yes.
I played one game where I was a tumbleweed hunter.
Ah.
I went into the custom settings. I made the game day only, and I said lots of tumbleweeds. My purpose for this is, of course, because being that the game doesn't have any actual goals or purpose, I did what I naturally do, and I chased trophies. And there happens to be a trophy related to an item that you can craft only on the console versions.
Oh.
The Accomplish Shrine.
Oh.
The Accomplished Shrine was basically the developers take that to Sony for demanding that he add trophies to the game, which he didn't want to do. So, to build the Accomplished Shrine, you need several different items. One set of items is 16 gears.
16.
Yes.
That's
And
hard to get.
when you craft it, it is a literal trophy that sits there on the ground and has a crank on it, and you have to turn this crank 750 times, and then you will get your trophy. It's several in-game days, probably something like 10 or so minutes of just standing there, click, 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 turning this crank.
So is that the only trophy you can get in the game?
There's trophies awarded for each time you unlock a new character.
I was hoping it'd be the only one.
That would be amazing.
It's like something like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Each new character, and then building the Accomplished Shrine, and then turning the shrine's crank 750 times. But being that I couldn't get any gears from the clockwork creatures, because if I went anywhere near one of them, they blasted me to bits, I said, I'm going to just try to find them from tumbleweeds. So I created a game with lots and lots of tumbleweeds, and they were everywhere. And I'm just chasing these things down, searching through every single tumbleweed until I could find all the gears. I don't know how long I actually ended up playing that one goal, but eventually I did find my 16 gears, and I was able to create my Accomplished Shrine, in which case I then needed to stand there for 10 more minutes just pushing a button until I got the trophy.
Wow.
Oh man. Oh wow.
That's impressive.
I'm just. That must have been a lot of train noises going past you, because tumbleweeds, for whatever reason, makes train noises.
Oh, I'm not even sure. I can't remember the sounds a lot in the game.
No?
No.
I mean, like, remember, John, when you played the spider, and you're like, what is that sound? Oh, it's me talking.
What'd the train sound like?
It's like a train passing by sound. Yeah, no, I'm not exactly gonna do a good job of being an impressionable train.
Yeah. The sounds they do are pretty complicated, actually. It's very complicated and distinct. They're not like
Right.
But I love the part though. There was one point where you were like, "What was that?" And it was because the trees like got bigger, and the sound of that,
Yeah.
you jump a lot.
I get jumpy in these games when
Yeah.
when like anything can like kill you. The tree freaked me out. The turkey jumping out from a bush.
Oh, yeah,
freaked me out.
The turkeys are amazing. Holy crud.
yeah, it just jumps out. They definitely. The fun thing is, turkeys are like completely innocuous. The only thing that's a real problem with them is that you can't really catch them, so you'll spend a lot of time just chasing
Right.
them unless you corner them or they end up eating something. But yeah, there's a lot of this. Whoever did the sound effects for this game and like came up with the sounds, the audio, really knew what they were doing because everything has its own unique sound. I mean, everything.
It's actually also interesting their design decision on when to put in the music, because that's always a fascinating decision ever since Halo, at least, on when they like say, all right, this is a good point to start adding music, rather because for the most part the game is ambient, just ambient sound effects from the environment. So I mean, there's a couple of simple ones, like when you're in danger, there's the you're in danger music,
Or you're fighting something, yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then there's a chime on when the day moves from morning to evening. There's a chime for that. There was one that I couldn't quite place that all seems to happen during the evenings, but I wasn't entirely certain as to why they would play. It was not because I was in danger or I was going into a dangerous zone either, but it's one of those like, somewhat optimistic if a little neutral kind of music.
I'm trying to think of what other music there is.
Did you say ever since Halo?
Yes.
What do you
Well,
mean
I
by
mean,
that?
to be fair, Halo is the one game that I'm aware of where they really utilize ambient sound over music. Probably there are a couple of other games that preceded that significantly to use that, but at least Halo is the one that strikes me as popularizing that.
Yeah, there is one musical bit that you didn't mention that I'm wondering if maybe that's what it is, but it's not only in the evening. It's when you work. If you like chop down a tree, there's a little song about you work, basically a little working song.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you chop down a tree or get making something a lot, yeah. If you spend some time doing something, it'll like.
So it's a
like
triumphant music.
A little bit like you're working. It feels like kind of a bouncy kind of. You're really active. You're doing something.
It's the Snow White's high home song.
Something like, yeah. Whistle while you work. Yeah. Something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting that they chose that as an event to specifically add music to. I do like the music in the game a lot. I'm a little sad that it doesn't occur more often, although it does make sense as a survival game that it'll be more subtle than normal. But that said, like, I didn't realize that was an event at all. I kind of wish there was more. Like maybe if you're walking into enemy territory or something, there'll be a little clue that the music is playing.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Mostly though, I find that when you're actually threatened by something, but it's not actively attacking you, especially the big things, it's mostly the sound of the thing itself. Like you've got, I can't really, I don't want to give away too much, but there are some really big creatures that you will get like feedback, and you will know that they are coming. And they have like I said, they have very distinctive sounds. You will know something is coming, but it's not musical. It's very much kind of an ambient, that animal sound kind of, or call. And in some cases, they're shaking the ground, because if the ground starts shaking, you know that something's up.
Yeah. I never figured out what those bear tracks do. Like there are a couple of suspicious mounds that you can interact with, and they'll create a trail.
Oh yeah, that's like I forget what the animals. I've never ever tracked it down, but there's an animal that you can track down if you just have enough patience, and it has like some things that you can like if you kill it, you can get some stuff from it. I think you can also try to befriend it. I don't know, some of the animals you can befriend.
Right.
Like catcoons you can befriend. And yeah, pigmen you can befriend. I think you can also probably befriend bunny men, but we've never tried it. You can't befriend spiders unless, of course, you're the spider character.
Have you figured out how to befriend spiders, Dylan? No.
I think Jason tried to do it.
Yeah.
Too
We
bad he
did.
wasn't.
Yeah, we did that during the social night. I'm trying to recall what the interaction was there. It seemed like a lot of people had the same initial reaction of, "Wait, night kills you," kind of like, "Oh, I really don't understand the mechanics of the game." Moments with a lot of people. I'm not gonna lie. I actually find those moments rather special because, like, post playing the game, like. You know, it's one of those things that you just kind of lose if you either spoil the game or that kind of stuff. But I find that fascinating that, you know, I think I mentioned it earlier, the fact that I figured out how to make a fire and yet the torch went out just as it turned night kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, like, I like that moment for me. It's a little strange. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I know how to get through it next time, but this was an unfortunate set of events that unfolded.
Yeah. I do like how they presented it overall. And yeah, it is kind of optimistic. Even if you die, there's still, you learn something. And everything is communicated to you. Like, it is juicy.
Right.
You do something that's a good idea, that's going to do something good for your survival, like chop down a tree or, you know, gather something. You're going to get a little bit of a chime, a little bit of music going on. Just thinking of your talk from last night. And if you're in danger, you're going to hear about it in the music.
I do appreciate the fact that if you have enough materials to unlock something, it'll tell you, and especially if it's something new, it's like, oh,
yes,
and it kind of convinces
yeah, that
you
little
to
light bulb kind of effect there.
Light
That's a
bulb
good
and like the
green.
It's subtle, but the button kind of expands a little bit to let you know that there should be something you should be paying attention to. As you said, and I really feel like it was, you know, it's trying to get you to a specific path of playing, and that path specifically ends up being like a positive experience.
Yeah. If you don't mind dying when you get there.
Right, exactly. I mean, it is punishing without a question, but it never felt like it was punishing for the sake of being punishing. It was more. It felt like it was punishing to let you know that, you know, this is the reality of the world you're living in, but don't give up kind of thing. It felt like a very don't give up experience.
That's really the name. Don't give up. Instead of don't starve. It's kind of funny though. I remember when we were talking about like when talking about like comments and like reviews and stuff, and people are like, and you live for so many days and then you're killed by a bee and stuff like that. And it's funny because after a while, it's not starving that gets you.
Right.
Starving is like the kind of the easy death after a while. Like the thing that's easy to control because you can figure out where the food is in every particular biome, I guess. There are ways to get food. So it's really kind of, it's not easy to starve after. Well, I mean, it's not. It's hard. It's actually, you end up dying in a lot more ways. So it's kind of funny how it's like it focuses on the starvation part of it.
Right. I'm actually genuinely curious why they chose that title. That might be something for research on a later time. Interesting.
Yeah.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
What was your favorite character?
Oh.
Let's go ahead and circle. I think my favorite character was the librarian.
I'm gonna try playing her. That's
Yeah.
actually
She's a lot more powerful than you think, but it would make sense why, because her sanity is the hardest thing to keep up.
yeah. How about you, Patrick?
Wilson, because of the amazing beard.
Willow, because of the burning things. I really enjoy the fact that all I have to do is start a fire, which I would have to do anyway in order to boost my sanity.
Right.
I was actually looking forward to playing the robot. I had heard it was a really good one for the adventure mode, since he can eat spoiled meat and he can permanently increase his stats with his gears. But I never actually got around to playing him because I gave up by the time I unlocked him.
Right.
So my default that I've actually played that I liked ended up being Willow.
Mm.
That was a good one.
I like the robot mostly aesthetically. I like robots. I don't know. I don't think he has like any special powers that like make him advantageous, or I guess rain damages him was the only thing, but it only rained like once to 2 times I played.
Rain becomes a bigger issue in other seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a particularly bad issue during spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I liked Wendy.
Wendy.
Okay.
I never really understood Wendy's advantage of not being afraid of the dark.
Mm.
Were you able to figure that out when you were
I
playing?
don't think her sanity drops.
That's a handy thing to have.
Oh, I see. That's what it means. Okay. Yeah, maintaining her sanity was one of the easiest, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing we didn't bring up is like the way it indicates sanity.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Speaking of sounds too, like when the sanity is dropping, it just gets more and more like ominous sounding.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The most I recall, because for whatever reason I ended up playing this game without sound rather often, was the shadow puppets.
Oh, the shadow puppets. But yeah, there's also like this red ring that you kind of, and like veiny looking stuff that you get too.
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Music box.
Hmm?
The tunes from a music box.
Oh, I see. Yeah, what are those clawing hands that come
Oh
out?
yeah, and that thing that just sort of stares at you and then goes away. Yeah, the hands are pretty creepy. Yeah.
To let you know, to let anyone that happens to be listening on this podcast know, there are some creepy hands that appear as shadows during the night sometimes, just to kind of make it a little more interesting to try surviving the night.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that they actually pull out the light.
Yeah, they'll put out the fire. They'll like I don't know if they completely put it out.
I
But
think each time they get to the fire, they reduce it by 1 level.
okay. Yeah, it's triggered by somebody having a low sanity.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's some.
So at least with Don't Starve Together, that means that happens if one of the characters are.
Yeah, all it takes is one of the characters having a low sanity, and then you have the hands reaching in with a little music box sound. That's creepy.
They're awfully easy to predict, however, so like that
Yeah.
significantly reduces the creepy factor.
And the-
but still,
The person who sanity is low is the only one that can see them, right?
no, I was able
No.
to see them
No,
even when my
everyone
sanity
can
was
see
so
it.
Oh,
high.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
everyone's affected by it when it gets to the fire.
So yeah, you kind of need everybody to be able to see it to be able to deal with it, because it will attack the fire.
Well, I mean, if a person has they're fully sane, they still see it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. It's the shadow puppet things that you don't see
Right.
if you're sane.
Mhm. So, yeah, closing thoughts?
We just did them, didn't
Well, I can do a little bit of clothing thoughts.
we? Alright.
So this is my second game club, And I was like, this is actually one of the games I was considering at the time. Instead, I went with Limbo, but I wasn't sure if people would like it. And I'm really glad to see that people did enjoy it. We did have a lot of fun at the TVGS transmissions. So that was really cool to play with everybody. Before it was just me and Patrick, so it's kind of cool to play with a large group of people and like actually like see people
And
die a lot. Yeah. Of course, it was kind of embarrassing how often I died because I would get distracted and then the hounds would come and get me and stuff. I was watching everyone else's stuff, and then I would, on my own screen, I would just neglect my character. So I can't blame that entirely, you know. It's not all of my deaths were because of that, but a few of them were. So yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting, fun game. I really kind of twisted. It was really, Patrick and I had actually kind of gotten out of playing it because, you know, we'd kind of seen a lot of things already. But it was kind of fun to rediscover it and see some of those things that they've added. So thanks for playing it with us, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
I will continue to play if you guys want to as well.
Sure.
Not
Yeah.
tonight, but
I think Sarah wanted to play too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she loved all the characters.
Nice. Which Sarah?
LJ.
LJ. Okay. Cool. Yeah, she did seem interested. So, okay. So those are my closing thoughts. It was really fun to play Don't Starve together with a larger group, and it's really fun to revisit this game that I got so many hours of fun out of with Patrick.
yeah.
Did you feel like when you were replaying it, like, did it feel like you were still encountering new things?
Yeah, there was some new stuff, and there was just.
I mean, they've updated a couple.
They have updated a few things, yeah, and it was kind of fun to see other people play it, because part of it is like the experience of going through and just messing with the stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. If we play it more, I'll probably get to do more stuff. And there's one thing I did not actually do a lot, jumping until I started replaying it. I did not do a lot of the wormholes. I did not go near them. They kind of freaked me out.
Well, we don't tend to use them in our games.
Well,
because of Sanity.
Sanity, yeah. But I started using when I'm playing single player. I've tried using them, especially since people here were using them, and it was like, oh, okay, it's a thing you can do, and it's actually added some more fun to it because it's a little bit of randomness. You do take a ding to the sanity, but it was something I hadn't explored.
I didn't realize that. Despite playing Wilson and Wilson clearly saying this was not a safe thing to do all the time, I should have kind of read the clues there.
Yeah, but no, it was kind of cool because it made me realize that there was some part of the game I had not tried, even though it had been right there in front of me. So it was kind of cool.
I definitely used wormholes liberally.
Yeah, I've been trying them out more. Thanks for inspiring me to do that. You inspire insanity.
I'm glad.
All right.
I made an impact to the world.
Yep. Anyone else have any closing thoughts?
There was darn, I lost one extra closing thought idea I had. I guess if I spend a little more time at it, I'll eventually think of it. I wanted to make a shout out to Tokyo Jungle, which was another game that Don't Starve actually reminded me of a lot.
Huh.
Tokyo Jungle is brilliantly well designed, with so many systems added to it, and a lot of the aspect of that game is about surviving as long as you can with a specific animal. Although the other appeal of it is that it has a ridiculous number of characters that you can unlock because they're all animals, zoo animals that have been released in a post-apocalyptic universe. But anyways,
That sounds cool.
it feels a lot like Don't Starve. And I guess one of the aspects that really makes me feel that way now that I think of it is when you hear about, like, say, the game is hard, the expectations that you have, because, you know, at least me, I have played a couple of very difficult Nintendo games. So when I hear like it's hard, it's like within the first level, it's pretty much designed to kill you if you don't know certain mechanics or something like that. Both of those games, like Don't Starve, Tokyo Jungle, and probably Dark Souls to a certain extent, as well as a couple of other stuff that immediately comes to my mind, they genuinely try to keep you alive for, at least with Tokyo Jungle, a few days. For Don't Starve, you know, one evening. It's enticing because like they create this relatively safe space that lets you really understand the mechanics before it outright kills you. But, you know, as mentioned earlier throughout the conversation that we've been having, that leaves a very satisfying mark because, you know, you're just learning the game. You feel like you're at least accomplished despite being told that this game is hard, like you're able to get past a certain time frame, able to survive a certain amount of time pretty easily. And it's that balancing that I'm always impressed with that Don't Starve, Tokyo Jungle, any sort of those like really well refined survival games where, you know, sure it's hard, sure you die a lot, but there's a genuine satisfaction in even just surviving for as long as you can. After listening throughout our entire conversation here, Robert, has your opinions changed slightly?
Well,
by the way, I completely sympathize with everything that you said, and that logic makes perfect sense to me. So I don't mean that as a criticism or as to put you on the spot or anything.
Well, I'm thinking that, you know, it's just, I don't know, the core gameplay is not really my style.
Yeah, understandable.
Okay, so a good way of explaining this. Back in the early to mid 90s, Dennis Leary had a comedy act called No Cure for Cancer. And there was a segment in that act where he talks about drugs in the 70s. And he says, we all had that friend who wanted to make a bong out of everything. Apples, oranges, anything. It eventually graduate to making them where they start up like a motorcycle. He says, they say pot leads to harder drugs. No, it leads to carpentry. That's why I don't do drugs. Not because I didn't like them, I just didn't want to build anything. Those lines echoed through my head as I was playing this game. It's not that I didn't like it, I just didn't want to build anything.
That's kind of a drawback, yeah.
That's understandable.
I mean, I loved the art style. I loved the twisted, crazy world that we were put into. I liked the characters. I mean, personally, I'd hang out with a beefalo. I mean, it's just, I liked all that, but the actual gameplay style of having to craft a whole bunch of stuff and having to just survive by finding little bits and pieces of food here and there, or if you can manage to chase down a rabbit with this tiny spear that they let you make, I mean, I don't know, it wasn't very fulfilling to me.
That's a completely fair statement. I definitely thought that the game was very by the numbers. Excuse me, wrong phrase, wrong metaphor. I thought that the game was very much an economy game, where numbers was its primary currency. And in that sense, actually, Sims 3, when we had that conversation about it, it does feel a bit grindy in that sense. And I completely 100% agree with that analysis. But at the same time, I guess I'm easily, I find that sort of gameplay appealing anyways, because I really want to kind of understand its underlying systems behind it and underlying formulas, AIs, behaviors that are going on. And at least to me, I find that a little more satisfying to really process and think through.
Yeah, I kind of I liked building stuff and then trying it out. That's the thing. If you don't like building stuff, it's not really it's going to be a bit of a drag. But if you enjoy building stuff, this is definitely a game. And seeing what it does, and you feel like playing with stuff, like making a toy and playing with it essentially, that's kind of what this game is for.
I mean, especially
And,
for me, like I thought it was a lot about information gathering and making the respective preparation. It's very much at least the way I approached it was, in my opinion, it was a very preparation-heavy game. It's not interested in you attacking rabbits. It's not interested in you, being the constant approacher of a certain objective or anything like that. But it's more about here are some couple of scenarios we're throwing at you. Can you figure out a way to defend yourself in these situations? And at least to me, that's the way I kind of treated the game, and I had a lot of enjoyment in doing so. Like I said, the information gathering aspect part of it is the part that I enjoy the most.
Yeah, the experimentation part. I kind of looked upon it as, I have a thing. What can I do with this thing?
Right.
What happens if I do this? What happens if I go over this animal?
But yeah, see, now when you mention the whole experimenting thing, I can understand why Taro would like it.
Right. Because of course I'm exactly the kind of person who's like, well, what does the game over screen in this game look like? Nobody else asks that question.
Yeah.
What happens if I jump off this cliff?
What happens if I try to run up every single wall that I can find in Overwatch? Why can I not climb up that van? That's a wall.
What if I don't shoot the creature jumping at me and shoot a canister instead?
There's bees there. They look evil. What happens if I stand in front of them?
Yeah, what happens if you attack this bee? Hey, I can now catch bees. What happens if I catch it? What can I do with it? Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
The experimentation behind it is absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you're not into building stuff, yeah, it's not really going to have much. It's going to have very limited appeal. So, yeah.
Cool.
So,
Well,
anybody else want to add anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
awesome. Well, I'm gonna keep talking for a little bit and maybe converse
Hello, this is Robert Denner, and I'll be the host for the next Game Club discussion for the month of May, in which we will be discussing the acclaimed adventure game from Don't Nod, Life is Strange. Join Max Caulfield, a photography student whose life gets turned upside down when she returns to her hometown of Arcadia Bay, Oregon, and discovers that she has the innate ability to rewind time. You'll take a very emotional journey across 5 days, as all your actions have consequences that make the story all the more personal. So grab some tissues, turn the lights down low, and get ready for the cinematic experience that proves without a doubt that, well, life is weird.